I had somebody reach out to me and ask me a question this morning and said, I know you're a Ford guy, but I have a 2016 Malibu, 1.5 liter turbo. Seems like it's down on power. I just did the full BG induction service, didn't change anything, and I still feel like my fuel mileage is way down and the vehicle power is way down. Well, I have news for you. Those vehicles are throwaway vehicles. They are junk. I'm just going to call it like it is. They are junk. When I got my 2016 2.0 liter 2LT Malibu, it wasn't the 1.5, obviously. It was the 2.0 turbo, but it was terrible, man. I liked how powerful it was. It seemed like it had plenty of power. That part was great. That wasn't the issue. The issue was how many times I had to keep ending back up in the shop. The power points would go out for charging your phone and stuff like that. Back and forth to the dealership for that malfunctioning and stopping on me. Then I had to go in. I had to get the updated, new engineered PowerPoint relay done. So they did that. That fixed the problem. Then the radio screen, when it was like, 85, 90 degrees outside, it would start flickering. The number 10 would start flashing on the preset, constantly locking up the radio. The trunk pivot point wiring harness that runs along the two pivot hinges in the trunk would rub the weather seal on the trunk, and eventually ended up rubbing a hole through it, or just right before it broke through. And I was the first one to request a relocation of harness on the pivot point, because they had factory holes for it that all they had to do was unclip it and move it. So the technician did that. Then I started getting water in my headliner in the back through the third eye brake light. It was a manufacturer installation defect where they weren't installing them correctly, or the seals were defective for the third eye brake light. They moved outside on top of the roof by the back window, so it ruined my headliner. My vehicle was down for 2 weeks because the vehicle was so new they didn't have parts for it. And then I started getting an error message by like 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles or something like that, that said transmission service something required. And I'm like, what? It's a brand new vehicle. And come to find out, the flow through, or the shifter assembly was defective in those cars, and they had to be replaced. So they had to pull center console, shifter assembly and stuff, blah blah blah, replace all that because it was causing some kind of erratic readings with the transmission, thinking that it needed to be serviced, and it did not need to be serviced. And what else? There's other things that was wrong with it. Water getting in the driver's side floor. The carpet would get a little bit wet sometimes. Come to find out, the seal inside the door right here was not very good from the factory, and they were putting silicone around it to stop the water from getting inside the harness. There were other things as well, but my car ended up getting stolen and totaled. Now, as for the 1.5 liters, when I was working at Hertz, we had them in the shop all the time for long blocks. The block would melt, it would screw up the cylinder head, or the piston would melt, it would screw up the cylinder head from all the misfiring and stuff, so you'd end up putting a long block in the vehicle. It would melt the piston ring, and they were having us pull those vehicles in and reprogram the computer, probably pull timing or something out of it so it didn't run so hot or lean or whatever it may be, and then change the oil filter to a different type of GM oil filter with a different part number, but really it was the same as the factory filter. They were just trying to make it seem like they were actually doing something. And then obviously Dexos approved oil, and that was to try to keep the engine as healthy as possible. And people would complain all the time, why do these feel like they're just down on power, the lack of power going on here? Why do I feel like this is not, I've been renting these cars from you guys for a while, and now all of a sudden, this doesn't feel like it's because we're programming the computers to stop the piston from self-destructing, I guess you could say, or from it melting a piston ring or a piston. You can do anything that you want to those engines, but you're not going to ever be able to totally fix those. They're junk engines. They're throwaway engines. I thought the coolant intrusion issue from Ford was bad, but the 1.5 liter turbo from Chevy with the melting piston rings, that is no joke, man. Even in 2018, it was still going on. There was a guy at the fuel station the other day. I was talking on TikTok today about my experience with. I was at the fuel station. A guy was complimenting how nice the Grand Marquis was. It's only got 27,000 miles on this thing, and everybody notices it, how clean it is from '07, because it's a garage barn find kind of thing, you know. And I was like, yeah, it's a pretty nice car you got as well over there. I used to have one. And he was like, yeah, but it ain't treated me very nice. I said, what do you mean? He said, hell, it's an 18 with less than 20,000 miles on it. I've already been through 2 accelerator pedal position assemblies because it derates the car on the highway, because they manufactured defective pedal assemblies, and the sensor and everything's all built into it. I said, yep, I had the same thing happen to mine just outside of warranty. Had to go spend like $175 for a pedal assembly and install it because it would cause derating condition. He said, same thing, I'm twice already. Luckily it was under warranty. And he said, and I've already been through one engine and on my second engine, and it's starting to act up. 1.5 liter turbo. They're just throwaway vehicles. They're junk, man. They're trying to squeeze a bunch of power out of these little small tiny engines for emissions purposes and to make the consumer happy. And this is the type of stuff that happens. You know, it is what it is. This is just the type of stuff that happens. Y'all have a great day. Oh, he also said he had to have the shifter assembly replaced at like 10,000 miles or something, 12,000 miles. They had to put a new shifter assembly in his 18 Malibu as well, because it was causing some kind of malfunctioning readings with the computers, causing the vehicle to set warning lights and check engine lights and stuff like that, even though there was really nothing wrong with the vehicle. And for that instant with that shifter assembly, it just had to be replaced because of a defective design. You'd think in 2016 having those kind of problems and it being a common issue, that by 2018 something would change. Nope. Now, y'all have a blessed day.